Okay, let's talk about Kanye. Kanye West has now gotten back with Adidas. It seems that their breakup has been so devastating to them that they decided they just had to call this dude back. Now, I know that a lot of people have this idea that, man, uh, Kanye is right. Everything he's saying is correct. He's the chosen one. He's leading us to, I don't know what they think he's leading them to, be it salvation or liberation from ignorance. I really don't know, because Kanye talks a whole lot of nonsense. I mean, if you are a centered individual who knows right from wrong, you can see fine. There's some truth to what Kanye says, but at the same time, you can see that in Kanye you have a child. You see what I'm trying to say? Somebody who's not able to rationalize his perspectives in a way that leads him in the right direction. Look, a lot of these people who are where they are, they got there not just by making, how do I say, the best decisions, but by having certain people around them. You see what I'm saying? He happened to get into certain circles, and that elevated him. Listen, there are a lot of very talented producers up there, and the reason why Kanye stood out in the first place is because most of these industry dudes don't have much talent. All they have connections. It's that. They have connections, they're willing to do things, sell their soul, whether literally or figuratively doing some weird BS, you know, some gay whatever it is. They're willing to do other things, and they have the right connections, and they put themselves in a position. Most of these dudes, damn near all these guys from Jay-Z, man, they don't have the talent that a lot of other people do, but they have the connections and whatever else. Okay. Now Kanye, however, did have talent as a producer. He actually did have that. That's one of the reasons why he stands out the way he does. You see what I'm saying? He's not just a clicked up person who put his name out there. Look at Drake. What talent does Drake have? Dude doesn't write his own lyrics even. Yet he's the biggest rapper of today, but doesn't even write his own lyrics. What does he have? Can he sing? Dude can't sing. You see what I'm trying to say? So, going back to Kanye, Kanye is somebody who, firstly, he married a Kardashian. I mean, seriously, man. Don't get with a Kardashian, folks. Maybe I'll make another video about that next time. But yeah, firstly, he married a Kardashian. Okay, and he has throughout his career, had to deal with certain frustrations, and sometimes these frustrations are justified. Like a lot of rappers, they get into deals where they're getting ripped off because they don't have the financial literacy to be able to negotiate, fairly and get something, and get an equitable share. You know what I'm saying? Of what has been proposed to them. You see. So Kanye decided to get. He said, "Look, I'm frustrated with what Adidas is doing, because he sees how much money they're making, and then he sees how much money he's getting. He's like, no, this is nonsense." And he's been trying to restructure the deal, whatever. It didn't work. So he did what he's known to do, right? He just exploded, went to social media, started talking a whole lot of nonsense, a whole lot of nonsense. If you think that Kanye has been, some of the things he's been saying are very true. Unfortunately, the base that he stands on is very flimsy. For example, he says, "Oh, the Jews own this, and the Jews run that, and the." Okay, so maybe most of the people who do own the record labels and whatever, they're Jewish. Fine. But is it because they're Jewish, and do they belong to some kind of fraternity where they all come together and they say, yes, as Jewish people, we have to own this, this, and this, and we have to sabotage the black community and whatever, whatever? I mean, there might be some elements of that. But what this guy chose to do in disparaging an entire group of people, the Jews, listen, there are great Jews out there, there are bad Jews out there. Now imagine you get on television and talk about, oh, the Jews, like the Jews are all evil. But, there's some good people at home, some good Jews. They're like, wait, what? But my family, we're not bad. We don't do X, Y, and Z. Sure, there are racist Jews out there, yeah? There's some bad Jews out there. But you can't say that's every Jew. So anyways, this dude, he stood before the world and started talking a whole lot of, he was saying things that weren't sensible, but he was trying to stand on real things. Because we do know that there's discrimination that happens. We do know that, fine, we got most Jews that run a whole lot of stuff. And in fact, you have record labels, right, that own prisons or they own shares in a lot of U.S. prisons, okay, and they're pumping out music that is perverting primarily African American youth. These kids are now committing crimes and they're ending up in prisons that these record labels actually have, significant stakes in. So now they're profiting both ways, you see. But at some point, you have to take responsibility for what you are doing and what your family is doing and what your society is doing. You see what I'm saying? If we didn't have, this fatherless household problem, you wouldn't have all these kids committing crimes and whatever. But hey, that's not the discussion, man. Let me try and hop back onto There's just so many things that tie into what's been going on and what happened and how it happened that sometimes you just shoot all over the place. And I don't like editing stuff. I'm live. I just go. All right. So now instead of this dude deciding to target or speak out against specific people who he feels have disrespected him, in whatever businesses that he's been doing, he decided to say, "Oh, the Jews, the Jews." And the problem with that is, once you do that and you start saying things like, "But I'm Jew, I'm Jew. How can I be anti-Semitic because I am a Semite?" Firstly, that doesn't make any sense, because just being black doesn't mean that you're a Jew. The original Jews were black people. But there were a whole lot of other black people who were not Jews. The black Jews themselves, the Hebrews, were being persecuted by other black people, right? This would be the nobility, If you have the Egyptian rulers, for example, who decide that this small group of people who are representing a threat to our rulership by trying to shift things around in terms of what everyone is believing, let's kick them out, right? It was other black people that drove the Hebrews out of Egypt. So you cannot say because you're black that you're a real Jew. It doesn't work that way. Yes, of course, these white Jews, if they're claiming to be the original Jews and the chosen people, yeah, these are imposters. These are descendants of converts. They are not the original Hebrews. I think this is an established fact at this point. But what you've got to understand about Kanye is, as I said before, he's a child. So he's not somebody who has learned to deal with things as an adult deals with things. You see what I'm saying? He is in a position to, how do I say, to throw a fit, to throw a tantrum. But because of the tools he has, his tantrum is louder, it is more impactful. You see what I'm trying to say? So this guy decided, no, okay, I'm going to use my platform and my voice to shake things up so much that it's going to force you to cut ties, because actually that was one of his goals. One of his main goals was getting cut by Addidas. Really, that was what he was doing here. It'll force you to cut ties with me, and you won't be able to cut ties with me because it's gonna affect your business so much that you will finally bend to my demands of restructuring things so that I can get my fair share of this. That's really what this was. And what he was doing was piggybacking off of the backs of people who do feel slighted by, whites, you can say, white people, and looking at the history of, of America and how black people have been treated. And even to this day, black people still do face some discrimination, like trying to get loans and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So he's piggybacking off of that to try and amplify his voice. The problem is, while he was doing this, those people that he was trying to piggyback from are a minority. And they're a minority who don't have any power. If they were a minority with power, and they could do more than just go on YouTube and type in the comments or go on Facebook and say, Kanye is right, Ye is right, Ye said nothing wrong. If they could do more than just that, then he would have been a lot more successful in trying to convince the things around him, the entities around him, the business entities, you see, to actually work with him before his downfall and him getting cancelled and dropped by this and this and this. They all dropped him in a way that they wouldn't have dropped him if he actually had genuine support. But Kanye, in appealing to certain people for support, he was being manipulative. You see, this is what a lot of people don't understand. If you are in a position where you are hurt and you feel you need somebody's support, right? A powerful person is going to prey on that, and he's going to get you to support him. Politicians do this all the time, whether they're liberal, or conservative, whatever. This is what they do. They will use your pain, your anguish, your suffering to get you to support them. And that's exactly what Kanye was doing when he started saying certain things to try to appeal to a certain base. You see what I'm saying? Because remember, this was all after, what did he say? He said a whole host of crazy things about black people, saying, well, slavery was a choice and all this and that. He said a bunch of things wearing the Make America Great Again hat, and I think you could wear a hat like that and send the right message. You absolutely could. But he was doing that at that time to appeal to a base of very right-leaning white people. That's what he was doing at that time. You see what I'm saying? When he thought he could shift and now try to get support from other people, is when he started saying the things that he thought that black people would really be happy to hear. But as I said, he doesn't really think a lot of things out because he doesn't rationalize things as an adult. So in the end, all he succeeded in doing in terms of getting support was pissing off the two major groups of people, right? He was pissing off the white people. He kind of ticked them off, and then he ticked off the black people. So he only had support from the small group of black people who very much feel that there's a conspiracy against them, and that Ye is one of the latest victims of this Illuminati or this cabal or whatever that just seeks to take people down who say the wrong thing. And I hope I'm not jumping around too much here, because sometimes I do this. I'll jump around and touch upon different topics because there's so many things that are interconnected, and to try and stay on just one topic without touching on the other things leaves too many holes. You see what I'm saying? But I hope I'm coming across in a way that at least is holistically presenting my perspective to so at least you know really what I'm trying to say here, which pretty much is that you got Kanye, who was unhappy with some deals, and he tried to get out of them, and it got to a point where he wanted to throw a tantrum, and because he's powerful enough, okay, he threw a huge tantrum, but the repercussions were his cancellation. A whole bunch of people and organizations and groups and whatever dropped him, and he tried switching sides, getting support from this group and then from that group, but because he's not stable in his objective, he didn't sit and truly plan this out. This is all kind of free form. But what he did know for a fact is his deal with Adidas was too important to them for them to just drop him like that they would be forced to renegotiate. And he succeeded, didn't he? Because they called him back. They called the dude back saying, listen, Kanye, please, we're not the same without you. Because who the hell, people don't buy Adidas for Adidas, they buy for Kanye. That's why they buy it, man. So he's back in. It is possible to be too big to fail. And as much as some of us, we say, oh man, Kanye is crazy and whatever, things do work out for him. He at least has common sense enough to know when he's too big to fail.